Tansi, and welcome to AunTea Time episode 4. I just want to say thank you guys for listening. It's been slow getting these episodes out, but I've been super busy traveling. I just finished my first year of law school back in May or April. Just trying to figure out life and my next steps as for the summer and get ready for my second year of law school. So I want to thank you everyone for being patient. And in our next episode here, our guest Ceejay Bear shares his story about being a Two-Spirit Indigenous man and what it was like growing up on the res. But also his insight is real, it's raw, it's what we want when in the space of AunTea Time, is that real life dialogue, and I appreciate the time he took to speak with me. I want to give a few trigger warnings. We do talk about SA, we do talk about homophobia, we touch a little bit on some serious issues, and I just want you to be cognizant of that. But this is a safe space for everyone to share their stories and share their dialogue, and it's a really good message we have in here. And if you listen to the entire thing, it was too important to leave anything out. I think Ceejay gives such a real insight of his story and his life. And so let's just jump into our next episode here. Throw us on the YouTube, the Spotify, the Facebook, wash your dishes, fold your laundry, go for a drive. Just sit back and enjoy and listen. Thank you. And welcome to AunTea Time. Today we have Ceejay Bear on the pod, and he's going to share a little bit of his queerness, his two-spiritness for our listeners. This could be like a pride episode, but we get into some really good conversations, and I think we're just going to jump right into it. Hey, yes, Ceejay?
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, he's here. He's queer. Okay, so today we have Ceejay Bear on the pod, and I'm going to take this moment to let him introduce yourself.
All right, well, thank you. First of all, I just want to thank Creator
for waking me up today. You're like, I opened 2 gifts this morning, and they were my eyes.
It's just me being a gift.
I'm embracing you with my presence.
Yeah, for real. No, I just want to say, well, thank you, Kiana, for having me on the pod. I'm so happy.
The AunTea Time podcast is so excited to have Ceejay. Like I mentioned before, he's like a big brother to me. We've shared so many memories together and so many like life journeys together. And I think what AunTea Time is about is sharing people's stories and experiences, and being two-spirit on the res is very unique as its own experience. And obviously, me being like a straight woman, I can't speak on that, but I'm so happy to have someone like Ceejay who's here today to talk a little bit about his story.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Kiana. But also, I just want to say thanks for having me on the pod. I'm really happy to be here. My name is Ceejay Bear. I am from the Ochapowace First Nation on Treaty 4. I am Two-Spirit. Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, so we have 3 spirits here today. Okay. So to kind of get everything going, we're going to do an icebreaker. And I'm going to ask you some questions and you just answer them. First thing that comes on the top of your head. Well, comes on the top of your head.
Why not?
Yeah. And this is just to warm us up. So let's just have fun with it. So my first question is, what's something every res family says about two-spirit people, but never say it to their face?
Don't hang around that guy.
Which guy?
Or else, there's a few of them. There's like, which one's the boy? Which one's the girl?
Yeah. I remember you and your ex getting asked that all the time. I remember thinking like, that's so weird to wanting to know.
Right? It's like, how do you answer that? It's like, I don't know. I was just so weird.
That I've heard. Yeah, I've actually been a witness to you getting asked that. That's so intrusive. Like, no one is. If you're straight, like, no one cares who's fucking coming in who. And, yeah. Okay. I remember when you got asked that. That was rude.
Yeah. Honestly, though, when you like that kind of question, I could only just think of like the negative stuff. But that's just my experience.
Yeah. That's what they always ask, though. Like, why do they care who's getting it in the ass? Just get a next question. What was your, I might be gay or something moment as a kid on the res?
It didn't happen on the res. It took place in a Walmart. I was looking in the underwear aisle and seeing the pictures of men in their underwear, and I was like, oh, I feel something.
Yeah. Got shivers all over my body.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay, for my next question, has a res auntie or even just an auntie ever tried to wheel you up and they didn't realize you're gay?
Too many times.
Okay, so my next question is, and this will make you feel vulnerable because I'm sure you got put in these moments. You're in an 8-hour car ride with 3 uncles and no aux cord. What identity are you not claiming that day?
Okay, is it like family uncle or is it
Yeah,
just,
like just not like your type of uncle. It's like where you want to take home.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not claiming my feminine side. So I think I would just talk about like sports and just talk about different things. I probably wouldn't get in touch with my feminine side.
Yeah.
Unless they kind of eased me into it, like started making jokes or ask questions about it, then then of course I'd ease into it. If I felt comfortable, like they were comfortable. I think that's one thing about Two-Spirit people is like, you kind of have to get a feel of straight people first, especially with uncles or even friends, straight friends. Like, can you fully be yourself? I don't think all Two-Spirit people go through that.
I was going to ask, have you ever talked about that part of you to like uncles or like those very masculine straight men in our family or even just straight men you know?
I've talked to definitely my friends. When it comes to uncles, they know who I am. And they even tell me that they love me for who I am and they support me and everything. But I actually haven't sat there and had a conversation with them and talked about it. But when it comes to like my straight friends, like some of them will ask questions about me and my identity and whatnot. And I'm open about it. I'll answer the best way that I can.
That's interesting that like a lot of like uncles haven't took that time to ask you, and I just don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but maybe it's just something that they never had to talk about, you know?
Yeah, I just think it's probably not easy because maybe they're scared of like
offending you,
offending me. Like, what am I gonna say? Or maybe even also like maybe they don't want to know. And
yeah. They're like, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be about it. I don't want to know about it.
Probably.
No, that's so funny because, yeah, I never asked that either. Okay. So this one can just be on the top of your head. Complete the sentence. Being Two-Spirit on the res means what?
A bad bitch.
Yeah. A baddie.
Yeah.
Honestly, I find like Two-Spirit people in our community, like they're super creative. They're always doing something cool.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, no, they have a better outlet to like express themselves or kind of be on trend, very trendy.
Very good eye for disaster.
Yes.
You do though. Like I just love like, especially like when you and your ex were together, man, you guys helped us with our wedding decorations. Like the way you guys are able to just put something together. Like I don't have that and neither does Phil. Like I literally asked AI how to like rearrange my bedroom because I was like, I don't know what looks good.
Yeah. No, and like, that's what I think one thing I really appreciate about my ex. He was really good, like very creative in that way. Something that I wasn't really in tune with. And like, it really helped like with a lot of things.
I feel like you've always just had a very like good eye for detail.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, like almost to the part where it's like so meticulous and so like razor focused.
That's probably like I don't know, like it can be something that's like a negative thing, but most of the time it's like positive because it does help. But I'm a perfectionist.
Yeah.
So like, yeah.
That's why we've been here 3 times.
Yeah.
On the pod.
Yeah, for real. No, I'm a perfectionist, so I do pay attention. I have a really good, what is that called?
You're just like
eye detail.
Yeah, you have a really good eye for detail, and I don't have that. But I've never been like that. Like I would like submit things, and they would like look ugly, or like I would print, and I just didn't really care. Even like when I do my editing, like even if it sounds like funny or like whatever, I just keep it because I'm like, oh, that's funny. But yeah, I'm really like anything goes kind of girl.
Attention to detail.
Attention to detail. Yeah, attention to detail. Attention to detail. Do you think that's just who you are as a person, or does that come from like being Two-Spirit?
I think it's just who I am as a person. I think like I've known I was Two-Spirit my whole life, right, since I was born. But I just feel like that was just something that was also passed down to me from my parents. Like they really instilled some good teachings about being cleanliness, and just like respecting things. So for me, when it comes to my home, I pay attention. I have a good attention to detail about certain things and how I should place things, where things should go. It's part of my everyday life.
That's so nice because you put things with intention. Everything isn't just put like all willy-nilly, and there's something like powerful about that itself, is just having that intention to make something look nice, and it's a gift. It really is. Is it offensive? And this just popped into my head, is when I ask, or if someone asks, is that just because you're Two-Spirit? Like, because then that's me putting it in a box.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it depends on what you're asking, right? So,
like if you bone a guy, is that Two-Spirit? Yeah.
You're definitely Two-Spirit.
Yeah.
But no, like, I mean, I guess it depends on I guess what's being asked.
So
I have this funny story though.
Okay.
One of my friends, like, I don't know. I always like have a good, like, what is it called? Skin routine, whatever. So I have like all like, the moisturizers, the cleansers, all that kind of stuff, right? And I remember like asking my one friend, he was straight, and I asked him do you use moisturizer? And he's like, no, I don't use that gay shit. It's just like, what?
Really, like,
yeah, I know. It was just weird because I was just like, do people, especially like straight men, like really think like taking care of your skin
is gay?
Is gay? Like, I just found it so, it was just so weird to me.
That's, I think, toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
I think so. Like, doing anything feminine, you're suddenly gay. But it's just like, a girl can definitely tell when someone is taking care of their skin. And I can definitely tell when someone's not.
Yeah.
And the person who's taking care of their skin is more attractive.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
And it's not gay. Take care of yourself. That's self-care.
Yeah, self-care is not gay. Take care of yourself.
Also, that's actually such a funny story. Is it gay? Okay, skincare. What are you using?
Skincare I'm using? Oh, it's always CeraVe.
CeraVe?
CeraVe all the way. It's like cleansers, moisturizers, the vitamin C, the retinol.
Yeah.
All of it. Like, it's been working so good for me. I just love it.
That's good too. And it's like, it's really reasonably priced. Like, I love the face wash. It's super gentle. So
yes.
No, that's cool. What are other self-care things that you do that are not gay? We're going to put it out here on the pod today. Self-care is not gay.
Yes. No, it's not. I don't know. Like, when I have a self-care day, I'll have a bath. I'll put some bath salts. I'll do my skin routine. Probably put on a face mask after. And then for me, it's just like lounging out at home. It's just putting on a good movie or putting on a good show, like a comfort show. And I just sit there and I'll watch and listen. And for me, that's like a self-care day. And or else even cleaning. I think that's self-care too, is like cleaning out like a deep clean of the house. So
how do you feel when you just clean your house? Like, so good?
Feels so good, because then afterwards, after I clean, I'll smudge, and I'll smudge less smudge, and say some prayers, and then it just feels so good. It just feels like
it's just a part of, like, you need this. Like, without this.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you share that, because you're totally right. It's like straight men think like doing things, cooking, cleaning, self-care is like, it's gay.
Yeah.
And we all need that as humans. We need to have those moments to take care of ourselves and our space, to be in a healthy mindset.
But like, that's the thing. I just find it weird when people aren't clean. And I mean, it's not about me being Two-Spirit, because like my mom and dad and my stepmom, they didn't instill these teachings of me to be clean and to clean up the house or how to clean. They didn't do that because I was Two-Spirit. They just did that because that's a basic thing that everyone should be doing. Like, you should have a nice clean house. You should have clean clothes, and you should take care of yourself.
Is your brother, who's not Two-Spirit, is he clean?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. No, like my mom and dad and my stepmom too, I'll give her credit but they were really like, they had good teachings. The values were really good.
And, I think as Indigenous people too, we did lose that relationship with not only ourselves, but like with a clean space because of residential school. So what has happened is people, because these kids were almost like slave labor, and created this really unhealthy relationship with chores and just like taking care of yourself in your space. And so when they integrate it out, it's either some people are like hyper clean where it's like unhealthy and they just feel awful, or they make other people feel awful for like not being in a clean space, or it's like the other side of the spectrum where it's like they live in these hoarding. It creates that like hoarder mentality.
Yeah.
So I've definitely seen that. And also poverty too, like has created hoarding. I remember my late cuckoo could never throw anything away because she said she remembers just her and my late Miss, they were so poor and it was so cold and they had nothing in their house. And she's like, after that, I just can never throw anything away. So it's crazy. So I'm happy to see you have a good relationship with your space and yourself in that scenario. We're going to move on to the next part and really get to know who Ceejay Bear is. And I think I just got to ask it just like that. In your own words, who is Ceejay Bear?
Who is Ceejay Bear? Well, Ceejay Bear is just like, he's just existing as a two-spirit person. And I think that's kind of like the message that I kind of want to get out there is that you can be two-spirit and just exist in this world. And I think that's the whole goal of this life as a two-spirit person. You have your activists, you have your
artists.
Yeah, people at the forefront of the two-spirit community fighting and doing all that, which is amazing. We need people like that. But I think for me, like I'm just existing. I'm just living. I'm just living life. And that means like, doesn't mean that I'm not proud of who I am or where I come from and what I'm doing. Like, it's just like, I am very proud of it. But I think like my thing is like, I think there's a lot of two-spirit like me who just want to exist. We just want to live in this world.
And that's the best thing you can do. And I can't speak for being two-spirit, but like I connect with that as an Indigenous person, and I realize sometimes we don't want to be like the loudest voice in the room. We just want to be like everyone else because we want to assert our presence should just be enough.
Yeah. And honestly, like I am not really, like I'm not out there. Like I'm more introverted. Like I am pretty quiet. I do live a kind of like a quiet life, but also when it comes to friends and family, like I am pretty open and I can enjoy, being myself and whatnot.
And it's just like kind of going to that mentality about roles and responsibilities. And I can only speak from like an Indigenous part of it is like, we all have this role in the community and, sometimes we all can't be doing the same thing. Every part of it is important. And so like, I'm just thinking of your situation, not all two-spirit people may want to be the activists, but that doesn't mean the ones who just live quietly and humbly, that doesn't mean that they're not doing their part in, building up the community and empowering it. Because I think you do it so well. And for example, like you work in a school, you're showing kids, like you're normalizing it in on the res. And that's something a lot of like res kids never had growing up.
Yeah. No, and honestly, for me, because I kind of just live a life of just existing, I don't really see it that way. Or I haven't really looked at it that way, but really though, like working in a school, there are a lot of kids that know who I am and they're really like, I think it changed their perspective on what a gay person is, and that it is okay and that these people do exist and that we could be really funny. And I don't know, I like to think I'm really funny. Like you ask these kids, like they'll think that I'm really funny, I'm really sassy, and I don't know, I just like have so much fun with that. I just like being that kind of like a role model for them too.
Yeah, and it just sometimes it's not about like, putting a sign on you and saying like I'm a role model. It's just like just living it is enough.
Yeah, just being it.
Because I would say like that's the most authentic way. I know personally for me, when I was looking for role models and people to look up to, I just wanted someone who lived it.
Yeah.
I didn't like the ones that came and try to tell me what to do because I never worked that way. So I just seen the ones that I thought I like that were setting a good example through just doing it. And that's what I really gravitated towards. So is there anything else you would want to say about Ceejay Bear?
He's like introverted, but also like very extroverted.
Yeah. Introverted, extroverted. And I can connect with that too because I am so introverted. I don't think people realize that. Like, I've always struggled with social anxiety, and maybe we both do.
I struggle with social anxiety too, and I think a lot of it was just like how I felt about myself. But Ceejay is just he plays sports. I play baseball, I play golf and volleyball, and he put me in any kind of sport and I'm going to thrive in it.
Yeah.
But also I am somebody who is very kind of introverted, extroverted as well. He is somebody who is just existing in this world as a two-spirit person. And I think that is the message that I want to get out today, because I think that's really important for all these two-spirit people who just want to exist in this world without being at the forefront of the two-spirit community or like that activist kind of person. And it's not saying that that's a bad thing. I mean, I'm very proud of all those people who are at the forefront and who are those activists as a two-spirit person. But there's two-spirit people like me who's just existing in this world, who's just living his life.
Authentically.
Authentically. Family to me is very important. I love spending time with them, doing everything I can with them. And someone that who really enjoys music and movies. Like, music to me is just everything. And don't ask me what kind of genre I'm into, because I'm all over the place.
Yeah.
I'll do like hip hop, country, rock, jazz, like
emo.
Yeah, I'm all over the place. And then movies, I'm all over the place too. I just love the art of music and movies.
Yeah.
Something I like to do too is just travel. I love to travel. Traveling is a big thing for me. I mean, recently we went to Coachella, and I think that was an amazing experience for us.
That was so fun. That was like, I think anyone needs to just experience Coachella once.
Yes.
Like, even if you go and you don't ever want to go back again, that's fine. But just go check it out. Like, the vibes there are immaculate.
Yeah. No, they really are.
Yeah.
But also, I'm part of the I would consider myself a traditional person. I grew up in a traditional way. My dad is a traditional man.
I just wanted to kind of us to dive into not culture, but me and you, we grew up together. Our parents are siblings. We kind of share that same background of we grew up in homes where we knew who we were culturally and spiritually. There was never blurred lines, because for example, our parents never took us to church. Did my uncle, your dad, go to residential school?
Day school.
Day school? Okay. And then both my parents went to residential school. And a lot of times, people will try lean into that, what they were taught in those schools, what was indoctrinated upon them. But my parents never owned that, and they never took that from the schools, and they really held on to everything they knew culturally, which was a lot.
Yeah.
So you share that same background almost. And can you talk about that? How you grew up in your culture?
Yeah, well, my dad, first off, I'll start off with my dad. He was a very traditional man. My mom was also a traditional woman, and growing up in that with that culture, it was just a way of being.
Yeah,
and I think that's just how I've seen it, because that's how I was brought up. Ever since I could remember, it was just part of our life, part of our ways.
You feel it in the bones, right?
No, for real. You just feel it.
It's there.
It's in you.
It's in here. He's in you now. It's just inherited to who you are. That's what I feel from it, right?
Yeah, no, it really does. And so I know, just growing up in a home like that, for me, it was very, it was very amazing.
So let's hop in part 1 of this episode, and I'm going to ask Ceejay some questions. And these questions are they're just to create a space for us to have conversation and dialogue. So don't feel pressured.
Yeah.
What does being two-spirit mean to you in your own words?
Being two-spirit to me means having that masculine and feminine energy. It's living in both worlds. Also, to me, it's just
I like what you're saying about living in both worlds.
Yeah.
Because, let's really break down the word two-spirit. Then what does that mean, two-spirit? And when you say both worlds, do you feel like you have that woman and that man spirit inside you?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Are they fighting and duking it out inside?
Honestly, sometimes it does, because for me, I grew up very, I guess I would say I grew up with a lot of internalized homophobia. And for me, it was a lot of shame, and there wasn't a lot of pride in that, right? Knowing that I was two-spirit. And also, I didn't understand even the teachings or even like the words of Two-Spirit. I didn't know what that meant. But as I got older, I learned to accept myself and to have that pride and to live with that pride and to live with purpose, and also to understand what it means to be Two-Spirit. It is having that masculine and feminine energy. It is walking in both worlds, because I do have to walk in a world where I am masculine, and I have to present myself in that way. But also, I get in touch with my feminine side too.
And how do you navigate that? And when you have safe spaces that it makes it easier to kind of really open up or to like not open up, but like to just embrace that part of you, like those two energies inside of you?
I think it's like the family that I chose,
Oh, that's
and I
good.
think that's one thing about Two-Spirit people too, is that a really good thing is that you get to choose your own family, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so my safe space is the family that I chose, and that would be my friends. And I do have some family members too that I feel really safe. Like I could go to them whenever. But for me, it is when I'm in that safe space. I feel like that's where I could fully be myself, and where I'm not fighting in this. I'm not like, my two worlds aren't fighting.
And well, what does being yourself mean?
It's just embracing everything about me. It's embracing everything that I am. It is loving that masculine side, but also loving that feminine side. And to be honest, like growing up in a small community and around a lot of straight people, I feel like I can't really express that feminine side.
And like, would it be like you do something and it's just like, oh my God, was that too much? Like,
yeah, like, and that's where I
just
kind of battle with
overthinking.
myself, where like I overthink. I'm like, oh, did I say something that was just out there, or did I do something that wasn't right?
I don't. Okay, I'm not a doctor, and I hate that I do this. I'm always diagnosing people. But do you think this is where your anxiety comes from?
Definitely, and I think that's where my social anxiety comes from too. I think because I spent a lot of my life like fighting, right?
Yeah.
Fighting this, like, who am I? Like this, not knowing who I was. It really gave me a lot of anxiety, because it's like I'm trying to navigate this life.
No, I love that you say that, because it speaks to what gender is. Because, in society, we have these idea of what a man is and what a woman is.
Yes.
And because maybe you felt both of that, it's when you didn't align of what exactly a man was, you felt some sort of shame.
Yes.
And I think that just speaks to like those gender roles that we've created for ourselves. Like gender is literally what society creates. So I like what the Two-Spirit community does is they really expand what gender is.
Being Two-Spirit is also just existing, and just existing. It's living your life. It's not being at the forefront of the Two-Spirit community. It's not carrying the Two-Spirit community on your shoulders. It's not being that activist that's out there. To me, it's just existing, and I think that's just what I'm doing. And for me, I think that's something that I really want to talk about, is because I think it's important, because there's so many Two-Spirit people like me who just want to exist. They just want to exist in this world where they don't have to be at the forefront of the Two-Spirit community. They don't want to carry the Two-Spirit community on their shoulders.
That pressure, right?
Yeah, that pressure. And I mean, not saying that there isn't a responsibility. We do have to show proper representation. And it's also not saying that I'm not proud of who I am. I'm very proud of who I am. I'm proud of where I came from.
And you never denied that about you. I've noticed you've never denied, like, especially in this phase of life, you are who you are.
Yeah.
There's no question about it.
Yeah, yeah. And so for me, it's just, I think my message is to, I think this podcast episode is just, it's to those Two-Spirit people who are just existing in this world, who just want to exist. They just want to, live their life.
Yeah. And I don't want you or anyone listening to ever think that that's a small thing. That is just as important as the ones that are doing the work. And I'm not speaking from like a Two-Spirit perspective. I cannot ever speak from that side because that's not who I am. But, just understanding like everyone has a role in our communities, and every single role is important. And I think for you, like just existing in our communities, that's enough, because people see you, the kids see you at the school, the communities, well, no, the community sees you, and they're like, you're just you being there is enough.
Yeah. And I found a way to like ease myself. Well, I guess like to make people feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Well, Two-Spirit people, because
And break stereotypes.
yeah,
There are these negative ideas of what people think being gay is.
right. And so I don't know. To me, it's just it is easing my way into the community with a sense of like, I don't know, comfortness, calmness. It's even like breaking those barriers by playing sports with a team who is all straight men.
Yeah.
It's working in a school where it's all youth.
And growing up, we never had gay teachers or gay, like, well, no one really open, educators.
Yeah.
Like, I've never had one.
Yeah. No, I don't think I've had one either. But also, too, like, I don't really think I've had, like, gay friends in school either.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, it was so weird.
I think we're skewing away from the question that is so important, is because I know when we kind of had our pre-talk about what we're going to talk about on this podcast, I know we were both scared of us talking about how you ease people into it. And I think the reason why we think it's so hard to talk about is because we didn't address that there is if for gay people in the community, Two-Spirit people in the community, especially in First Nations community, there is that negative stereotypes. There are those like negative connotations. No, I'm not going to use that word. But there is negativity surrounded about that idea. And we're really in the generation of the Two-Spirit community, of you guys reclaiming who you are instead of having these labels put on you.
Yeah.
You guys are reclaiming that.
Oh, yeah, we are.
Yeah.
And I think even just what I'm doing is just existing, putting myself in situations where I am playing sports and I do hang out with all of my friends, like, who are straight. Just being in the community, going to, I don't know, honky games or community events, or just, being around.
Even showing up to ceremony.
Yeah, especially ceremony. But yeah, I don't know. For me, it was just, I just wanted to just exist. I just wanted to just live freely. And I think like I've been able to do that. And I think it's something that I never really thought of. I guess for me, like, I had my own struggles as a Two-Spirit person, right? Finding that identity. But for me, like, I haven't really, like, when I talk to you and I talk to my other friends about what, is it okay to just be a Two-Spirit person and to just exist? And for me, I always felt like there had to be more that I should be doing, or am I doing enough? And honestly, like, to have a really good support system for my friends to just tell me, like, no, like, just existing and living your life as a Two-Spirit man openly is enough. There's so many Two-Spirit men out there that are having that identity crisis right now, that are just trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
They don't know what's going on, or they don't have those people in their lives to kind of ease their way into reclaiming that identity, or reclaiming. Even
just like, not like, a lot of people don't know how to push the boundaries of gender.
Yeah.
They don't know how to, like, I think a lot of people don't understand, and we've talked about this before, they don't understand the difference between gender and sexuality.
Yeah.
And it creates a lot of confusion, especially when we talk about Two-Spirit, because I often heard people, how does it go? If someone, and we did talk about this before, is if someone is gay or Two-Spirit, they are like, do they want to be a girl? And that's just not the case.
No, it isn't. And like, I guess, like, Two-Spirit, right? You have that masculine and feminine energy, the masculine and feminine spirit.
Yeah.
So you are, it's just about being at two worlds.
Yeah, and just like navigating that and knowing when to tune in. And I think this is when we think about the Two-Spirit people in our cultures, like they are gifted. And I really think it's the way they, I don't want to say manipulate energy because that sounds so bad, but the way they can just harness these two energies.
Yeah.
And, it doesn't mean that someone is gay just because they tune into a masculine or feminine energy. Anyone can do it. It's just a lot harder for like straight people to do it. But it's always, but men, women, Two-Spirit, anyone can harness those energies. I just think Two-Spirit people do it so much better with ease.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a gift. It is a gift.
No, it really is a gift. And I think that just goes back to the teachings of what Two-Spirit is, right? Back in the day, Two-Spirit people were looked at as gifts. They were looked at as gifted people, and they were praised. They were praised in the community because they could harness those two spirits. We were healers and we were protectors. We were warriors at the same time.
Yeah, that's totally right. Because when I read, I read a lot of articles on these settlers that would come into our communities back in the day and take notes on us. And you'll see notes of man dressed as a woman. They didn't have words or anything to explain to them, but just seeing the photos of that Two-Spirit person, they knew who they were. Just this white guy who was recording them didn't know how to label them.
But when that's the thing about colonization. Before colonization, it was just, and I just think that's where it comes to ceremony too. Ceremony was just, probably wasn't even called ceremony.
No.
Back in the day, it was just something that we were doing every day. It was an everyday thing that we did.
Just part of life.
Just part of life. And so just, as a Two-Spirit person back in the day, they were just existing.
Yeah.
Just living their life.
And I like how and so as we dig deep into this conversation, we go back to where you are about existing. That's you reclaiming that.
And I think that's kind of where I'm kind of going with my life is just, I just want to be this person who is Two-Spirit, just existing, putting myself in these different places.
When did you first come to understand that you were Two-Spirit?
I think I've always known. Ever since I was little, I've always known that I was Two-Spirit. I just, I didn't know what Two-Spirit meant. I just knew that there was something different, that I was different. Spiritually, mentally, emotionally. I knew. I didn't know what it meant, but I knew.
And it's not always a sexual thing too. And I can't say, but is it almost you knew you could sit with the men and the girls?
Yeah, no. And I guess it was easier for me to be with the girls and to feel that comfort, to have that safe space with them, I guess. And that's where I felt the safe space. Was with women, with girls. But also too, I was a kid, right? So I didn't really see a difference there. I didn't see having to separate myself from men and women. It was just, if I felt comfortable with being around women, then I'll be around them. But if there was men in my life, that, especially friends, I would hang out with them. I would be comfortable with being around them.
Yeah, I know. I've always seen that. You've always been someone who's had, your bros with you, but also you could sit and be with the women. And I think it's rare to see just a straight man be able to possess that kind of quality. It's not saying that it's impossible, but I think that's something I've always noticed about you is you've always had friends from, you're friends with everyone.
It's so weird to have to think about what our straight friends are thinking, when it comes to hanging out with a Two-Spirit person, but also I think that's just always on my mind too.
I've never had to think about, obviously I have always thought about what, sometimes I'm oh my God, what do they think of me? But it was never because of my sexuality. So maybe that's something that Two-Spirit people have to deal with that we don't. You're always kind of are you always in the back of your head do they accept me? Or
I am. There's always kind of that self-consciousness of do they actually support me? Do they actually love me for me?
Yeah.
Do they accept me?
And what does supporting you as a Two-Spirit person mean?
I think it's just like showing that respect, having those offensive jokes or labels, whatever. I think it's just like it's hearing me and like loving me for who I am and whatever that is.
And not trying to change you.
Yeah, not trying to change that. Like this is me.
And I just wonder, because you're Two-Spirit, you probably dealt with that a lot in your life where people would try to change you.
When I was younger, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was younger, there'd be people, if I posted a photo or I don't know, if I wasn't posing the right way.
Really?
Or like, okay, I shouldn't say the right way because like you should pose however you want. But if I wasn't like looking masculine or giving off this masculine vibe or energy in a photo, like I would be like, hey, why are you looking like that?
Yeah. Did you ever get like, why do you talk like that?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Well, I don't get that anymore, but when I was younger, I would get that, and I think that's where if I should say like, I may not come off or gay when you first see me, but as soon as I open my mouth, like you'll kind of know, because it's like my voice is a big identifier of me, spirit. I used to get that a lot. Like, why do you talk like that?
See, the more you tell your stories of who you are, it more puts the puzzle together why existing is so important to you. Because those are things that I don't have to deal with.
Yeah.
I don't have people look at, when I was young growing up, I never had, anyone message me and be like, hey, like you should look more ladylike.
Yeah.
Or because I've just, and, hey, you should talk differently. You know what? I've never had to deal with that. So why did you have to? And I think what I'm hearing is, do you just want people to exist in this space safely, securely, not to be questioned, not to be changed? And it's just, the more you tell your story, the more it's coming together.
The thing is, it's like, when you ask me stuff about community and what it's like to be a Two-Spirit person, to be honest, all I could think about is like the negative stuff. And I think it's because maybe I just never dealt with it. Maybe I never sat there and dealt with these feelings or these questions. I think to me, it's like, it kind of hurts because I'm opening up a lot of stuff that I had to go through. And to be honest, I think I'm kind of coming from a place where it's hard to look at it in a positive way. And I'm not saying that being Two-Spirit is a negative. It's a negative thing. But I think like what I'm talking about is community. What I'm talking about is like how the community treated me. And even when it comes to family members, how they treated me. And honestly, like growing up Two-Spirit, it was rough. It really was rough, because there was a lot of times where you were called out or shamed for being someone that they didn't agree with. And it was Two-Spirit. Yeah. It was something that they didn't understand, or something that they didn't want to understand. They didn't want to go there. They didn't want to talk about it. And they were trying to change you.
And we're not going to sit here and, like make excuses for anyone, or, anyone who deals with that. Of course, in Indigenous people, we could say residential school colonization. Those are like reasonings, but they're never an excuse.
Yeah.
And although like maybe we are getting better, but that was never fair to you to ever put you through that.
No. And so I'm kind of sorry to say this, because it's just like, I don't like looking at things in a negative way all the time. But I think for me, there's a lot of negativity that I had to go through and that I had to navigate. And today, like, I am a very positive person. I'm living a positive lifestyle. Mm-hmm. I'm doing a lot of positive things. Like, my mindset is very positive. Mm-hmm. And when negative things do happen in my life, it's like, okay, well, what can I get out of it? Like, what's a positive thing that I could get out of this? Like, what's the lesson here? I take that and I learned from that. But I think like when it comes to my childhood and my identity, it's coming from a negative place, because there was a lot of shame there. There was a lot of stuff that just I had to go through. I mean, there was a lot of figuring things out. And the sad thing about it was that I was just a kid, and I wasn't allowed to just be a kid. Like I was constantly thinking of all these different things, like things that normal, well, I hate the word, hate saying that, normal people, hate saying that, but what these other people didn't have to go through.
Exactly.
And so going through these things as a child, it's like I was a kid and I wasn't allowed to be a kid, you know. There was the sexual abuse there. There was the
Constant, you're on,
pain,
the microscope.
the microscope there of like, is this guy gay? I remember I was in school and I forget how old I was, but I remember being in school and I was in the gym and I don't know, somebody said something and I laughed or made a joke, whatever, laughed and walked out. And I went into the bathroom and the bathroom was connected to the change room. And then I could overhear those people in there being like, do you think he's gay? Like what he said was so gay. And it's like, and then to me, I was just like, holy shit, like, what did I say? And how did I say it? And so that's what I mean. Like there's this microscope, always these things that are attached to you, especially as a two-spirit person. And so for me, there was a lot of trying to figure things out, a lot of changing.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a lot of times where I wasn't authentic, where I wasn't myself. And, you know, even just liking certain things was considered gay. Like if I
like your clothes,
like my clothes and like expressing myself through my clothes. If it was the music that I listened to, like just everything.
Or even just trying to be creative, you know, and really dive into music. And
because back then I was really into art and I was really into my photography. And I still am kind of, but I think I lost that along the way. But I think that just trying to be a creative person was looked at as a gay thing. And because no matter what I did, if I drew something, if I took a picture of something, if I loved something that had anything to do with art or being creative in that way, I was always looked at as, oh, he's this gay person. And especially like as a kid, like you're not out, you're not comfortable with, you know, you're not even comfortable with your own sexuality at that point, right? So to me, it was always trying to hide something. It was always trying to like, no matter what outlet I had to try to express myself, it was always like someone was there to like bring me down.
Yeah.
I was always.
And when you paint that picture of just like your experience of growing up as a two-spirit kid, it's so just, when you paint it out like that, it's so uncomfortable for like to hear.
Yeah.
And not saying that people shouldn't hear it, but it's just like when you put it in a sense of you couldn't even just be a kid and express yourself. There was always, you're always worried about what people thought, and not from your own insecurities, but because of what society has painted as okay.
Yeah.
And was what's in the boundaries of what's okay. And see, just you trying to express yourself through creative outlets, you were stepping outside that boundary and then therefore created a really negative space for you.
Yeah, and it made people make it not okay for to want to be who I wanted to be.
And now today, like those ones that are like creative are like the coolest cats around.
Right? But yeah, not for me.
Yeah. Well, and
I mean, I'm proud of like these other people, and I think that's one big thing to be proud of social media and TikTok these days, because it's like this new generation of two-spirit people have this outlet. They have this space where that they could be creative, they could express themselves, and there's going to be a whole world behind them rooting for them. And of course, there's going to be negative people, but at the same time, like they have the whole world that's behind them, supporting them, liking their videos, commenting.
Yeah.
And then for me, it's like, I mean, I'm 31 years old, so I didn't have that.
Oh.
For me, it was a brand new thing when I was in high school.
I don't even think they had Pride when you were a teenager or a kid.
I think we did.
Did they? Well, I don't know. I was a kid too.
See, I don't really see, and that's the thing. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Because being two-spirit to me, like as a child, it was something to hide. It was something to be ashamed of. So a lot of these things, teachings, are just what being two-spirit was as a kid. It was like, to me, I didn't want to go there because it was uncomfortable, because society made it uncomfortable for me.
They really did.
Yeah. And so I know that's like a lot of negative stuff, but that was just like my childhood. It was a lot of shame. It was a lot of having to hide my true authentic self. And I think that's where it comes into community, was that I didn't have that outlet. I didn't have those safe spaces to express myself or to be myself.
Well,
And
growing up with you, and when you paint this picture, you're showing me that I only seen like a little bit of the veil open to
yeah,
what it was for you being a kid, because I really never took that into consideration, that it wasn't just that one specific moment that happened at this specific event. This was like something that was constant in your life.
yes,
It wasn't like just that one event I seen. And so, thank you for sharing that. And I don't think it comes off as negative. I think it comes off more as truth.
yeah,
And kids at the time, and adults even at that time, probably didn't even realize the harm they were doing when not just being able to accept a kid for being a kid.
yeah. And I think that's just the most sad part about it, was just I was a kid and I wasn't allowed to just be a kid. I wasn't allowed to like music or
Yeah.
art or theater or clothes or fashion or certain things that were kind of more on the feminine side. I wasn't allowed to like that or be that.
Yeah. And
And maybe that did shape me in who I am today as this masculine two-spirit person. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm only masculine. Like I do have a feminine side. I do live in the both worlds, the masculine and feminine, but also there was a lot of internalized homophobia, and I would say I had to deal with that up until like my mid-20s even. And so dealing with that, it was tough, because coming from a small community, there are gender norms, there are
yes.
norms of society norms there that didn't include two-spirit people.
Not at all.
So yeah, it was just
So it's just, leave kids alone. It's almost, I want to say, just leave them alone. Let them express themselves, and straight people or just anyone listening, you don't need to ask what a person's sexuality is. It's really none of your business.
yeah. And also, I guess if we're talking about kids too, like if we want to give advice there,
Yeah.
it's like, let them express themselves. If they want to play with Barbies, let them play with Barbies. And I think that was one big thing that I did. I play with Barbies, but it wasn't just Barbies that I was playing with. Like I play with other, I guess, boy toys. I don't put a gender on that, but or a label. But let kids express themselves. Let them be who they are. If they want to wear a dress that day, let them wear it. Or if they want to play with girl toys like Barbies and whatnot, like let them do it. Let them express themselves. And I think that's the biggest thing that is going on today. Like I see a lot of parents these days, letting their kids express themselves.
Yeah, which is really nice. I know my nephew Mark wears dresses all the time, and he loves Barbies, and I love that for him. And there is harm, because you still hear comments, you're a boy, and like, who cares? Let him wear his dress. Like,
oh yeah, exactly. Let him express themselves.
Like he looks at himself in the mirror and he dances when he feels good. Like, let him do
so
that.
cute.
Like, that's so good for your healing. Just anyone, not just kids. Like, looking at yourself, feeling good in what you're wearing, and dancing. Like, that's so beautiful. And
it is, and it's like, because for me, it was like, if I were to do that back then as a child, I would only have to do that in a safe, like, where there was nobody around.
Yeah.
In an empty room.
Yeah. Would you get a kick in the ass with probably?
Whereas, Mark, I'm so proud of Novely for raising him that way, to express himself and to just let him be himself, because really, he's just a kid. He doesn't know.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, like.
Well, and that's where, like, knowing you, and what you have taught me about a two-spirit person in the community, if I didn't have you, maybe I wouldn't have those skills to, like, just be okay with him being like that. Maybe I would make those comments.
Yeah.
And who knows, but, because you were that presence in my life and we were able to have these kind of conversations about gender and sexuality, you really expanded what I thought gender and sexuality was. So I think it made me a better person. And because of knowing someone like you, I knew not to be hard on Mark for it. And I love him for that. And I would love anyone just to express themselves.
Yeah. And also too, like, it is a scary thing, even for Mark, to express himself that way, or for parents letting their child express themselves in that way. It is a scary thing because, you are going to hear comments. You are the gay bashing, and you're going to hear people start criticizing you as a parent.
Yeah.
So it is kind of difficult, but at the same time though, like, just know, like, parents, if you are letting your kids express themselves and they are playing with Barbies, or they're dressing up in girl clothes,
or even educators, if you are going into the space of where you're educating kids and you're being around kids every single day, maybe you should leave those type of biases at the doors, because you're doing more harm than good.
Yes. Yeah.
With those types of comments, with those types of labels, those boxes you want to throw on children. Like, maybe you shouldn't be in education if you feel so heavily about that, where you can't leave it at the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you shouldn't.
And I think that's such an important conversation to have. And when you talked about your healing, I'm just thinking of this inner child, because regardless if you're Two-Spirit or not, when we talk about healing, it's all about healing that inner child.
Yeah.
And when you tell your story, I'm just like, man, this inner child really went through a lot. And it's honestly not to blame, but it's like because of these gender norms that were created.
Yeah. No, it is. Like, when I think about my inner child, I think of how hurt he is. I think of how broken down he was. And I think even to this day, like, because I'm still on my healing journey, right? Like, I'm still healing. I'm still trying to figure things out.
Do you ever think of the resilience, though?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Talk about that.
Yeah. And, well, the resilience to me is it is just waking up every day. It is going to work, and it is just existing as a Two-Spirit person. I am just, to me, it's building relationships with people who I've lost that with, and that could be family members and friends.
Where do you find your strength? Where do you think your strength comes from? Do you know? Does anyone know?
I think, to me, I felt like I just had to, I feel like I have to prove everybody wrong, because I feel like there's this stereotype or this stigma of what a Two-Spirit person is. I feel like I'm constantly having to prove everybody wrong. And I think that's why I immerse myself and take pride in everything that I do. I try to thrive in everything that I do. And I think I have to, I work twice as hard just to try prove a point. And I think it's just because I think where it's coming down to is I just don't want being gay to identify me. I don't want that to just be my whole identity.
Yeah, because
I'm more than just a Two-Spirit person. I'm more than just a gay person. And I think that's probably one of my biggest fears is I just don't want to be looked at as that person. That's all he is. Because it's being Two-Spirit, it's all about identity. It's all about spirituality.
Yeah.
And it's just, you're so much more than that. It's so much more than just a Two-Spirit person. It's everything. It's everything about you.
You're putting together a puzzle for me right now, is because people were so hyper fixated on this part. So it feels to me that you're just trying to prove that person wrong. Those people wrong, that you're not just your sexuality, you're Ceejay.
Yeah.
And I liked what you said when you're I'm kind. And the way I think about it is you're kind because you knew you needed that person to be kind to you.
Yeah. And I think that's what I do too, is I put myself in other people's shoes because I want to have a better understanding on where people come from, because I think it's important to kind of be at their level. If someone's going through something, you kind of want to say, okay, well, if something happens, if if what they're going through happened to me, then how would I react to that, or how would I treat this person better, right? And so for me, I feel like I do have to be kind. Well, not just have to, but I want to be kind to everybody. I want to treat everybody
I
good.
think you are. I think you are to your very roots. I never seen you be mean to anyone in our entire life, and I just don't think that there really is a mean bone in your body.
I think there is, huh?
Really?
Well, I think
Well, let's talk about it. No,
I think there could be. I mean, to be honest, like I watched Mean Girls. I grew up on that shit.
Yeah.
I always felt like and I think this is where I fucking embraced my feminine side, is that
You're sassy.
I wanted to be like fucking Regina George.
Really? Oh my God, what a power dynamic. And there's nothing wrong with that. Who doesn't want to be the queen bee?
Really?
I want to be the queen bee.
I think I even created my own burn book.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. No judgment.
Yeah, okay, no, but I mean, this is when I was younger. I was a teenager, so I was kind of...
I'm sure everyone was doing it at that time too. Mean Girls is literally one of the most famous movies in the world.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even high school. It was fucking like elementary school.
Oh my God, you're like gap tooth bitch.
I'm probably like grade 4 or 5.
And it's your baby teeth.
But no, I mean, I think I was kind of mean-spirited back then because, like I said, I grew up very like with a lot of shame. I grew up in a community that I couldn't be myself. So
well, it's good you acknowledge that.
Though,
you know.
So I didn't love myself. I didn't have an opportunity to love myself.
Did you always feel safe expressing your identity, or was that just something you had to grow into?
I think I had to grow into that because I didn't have a safe space, right? I didn't have a community that had my back. At least that's what it felt like.
Do you have a coming out story? What was it like? Who did you tell first, and how did it feel?
Well, I don't really have a coming out story, but I do remember the first people that I ever started talking about me being Two-Spirit with, and that was our cousin Reagan and my really good friend Andrew.
Was there any adults in that circle that you started to have those conversations with?
Not till I was older. And I mean, like, I do have to give credit to my one good friend, Savannah, standing ready too, because I remember when I was about 15 years old, I came out to her, and it was so scary to me because I don't know. I'm 15. I'm scared. It's a scary moment. But I came out... After coming out to like Savannah, it made me feel like there are people out there who are going to love me for me and accept me for who I am. But also like keep that, I would say, I don't want to say secret, but I guess like keep that identity hidden until I was comfortable to kind of come out to the world and let everybody else know. So when I came out to her, she was a big support in my life. And to me, like that was everything to me at that time.
Yeah.
Because then I was able to share stories with her. I was able to share crushes or people that...
And that's just fun things kids want to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. So to have that to me, that was amazing. I want to give credit to Reagan too, because she was really there for me since the beginning. And she knew who I was, and she loved me, and she accepted me, and we were so close growing up. When it comes to a coming out story, I don't really have a coming out story. I think as I got older, I started to kind of really look at it like, I don't want a label on me.
Yeah.
I'm not just a gay person. I just didn't want it to identify me,
yeah.
Right? I was so much more than just a gay person.
Yeah.
And so I kind of lived my life, my younger life, just kind of just doing what I wanted to do. Like if there was a guy that I liked, then I would talk to him, and I would start, if I wanted to see somebody, I started seeing people.
Do you have game?
Yes.
Yeah, you do?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
But to me, like, it was just, I think my coming out story would be when I got into my long-term relationship with my ex-boyfriend. And I think I started seeing him when I was around 23. I think I was 23 years old. And I started seeing this guy, and I knew that this would be I knew it would bloom into something really amazing and beautiful. And that's exactly what happened. And being with this guy just made me realize, like, he was already open. He was an open two-spirit man. And he really embraced his identity. He was really confident in who he was. And I really admired him for that. And for me, like, it was still kind of a secret seeing him. Like, you know, it was me still trying to like find ways like, okay, how could I come out? How could I be open with this person? But I think what really helped was just living in a city where no one really knows who you are. And you're just kind of like, you know, I felt like I felt more comfortable being with this person, being with him and loving this person. And next thing you know, we're living together, and I still wasn't even out yet. I didn't have a coming out story, and a lot of people still didn't even know that I was even Two-Spirit.
Yeah.
And so my coming out story is literally like, we got a vehicle together, and we got one of our boss at the time. Her name is Shelly Mike. Shout out Shelly Mike.
Oh my God, I know who Shelly is. She's awesome.
She's amazing. And we got her to take a picture of me and him in front of our this new vehicle that we got together. And he made a post about it, and he tagged me in it. And that was pretty much my coming out story.
Oh my God. Did you guys both put your name on the vehicle?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't want to get into it.
Okay, sorry, the financials of it.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. But no, like that's my coming out story was coming out on that, and that photo is me and him holding each other. Well, not holding each other, but like arms were wrapped around each other.
Laying on the hood.
Naked.
And are you happy? Like, was that enough for you?
Well, and then, okay, not only that, I would say like a few months later, it was being engaged. And I think that was the biggest coming out story. Like, we had that photo, got a lot of likes, whatever. I think people were starting to realize, but it wasn't until we got engaged. And I think it was one of his cousins who posted a photo of me wearing the engagement ring, and he was tagged in it and whatnot. And there's like this little, I don't know, a caption and whatever, right?
Yeah.
A little post. And I think that was my coming out story, was just existing. It was just me being, it was like
having those special life moments with someone, you know.
Well,
that's a big thing, getting a car together, but also getting engaged. I remember seeing that post and being like, because I think I met him once, and I'm like, he's getting married? What? Like, I was so like just shocked.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. I think that's one big thing too, is like, I like my private life. My private life is important to me. So I wasn't very open. I wasn't very like out there. And to this day, I'm still not like out there, but no, like, to me, that was my coming out story. It was getting engaged, and it was having this post about it, and got so many likes, so many comments.
Was it a fun time in your life?
Oh, it was, because it felt so freeing to me.
Yeah.
It felt like, okay, I could be me. Like, there wasn't this big story behind it. There wasn't this big thing. It was just me just existing. It was me just having these special moments in my life, meeting a guy, falling in love, getting a vehicle together, getting engaged. It was just doing everyday things with somebody. And a lot of people approached me after that engagement photo came out, and they're like, I'm so happy for you. Because a lot of people too, they didn't know a lot of people, they were surprised that I was Two-Spirit. And then there was like people that knew.
Yeah.
And they were just kind of like waiting, whatever. But I received a lot of support from a lot of people because of that, and a lot of people came up to me and just expressing their support, expressing their love for me, and just happy that I'm able to be me, to live freely, and to just, like, live authentically.
It sounds like such a positive experience, and I'm so happy, because when I think of a coming out story, I don't know why my brain automatically switches to like someone in a room with like all their closest family and, you know, friends. And it's like this big serious moments.
Right.
So I'm happy that yours is like fun. It's positive. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that, like, if you want to have a coming out story, like, have a coming out story, make a post, share something, if that's your way of coming out, then do it,
Yeah.
But for me, it was just because of me being so private. I just wanted to like have these special moments in my life and just be able to just live them. And
Yeah.
I think that's just the whole point of being a two-spirit person, especially, well, me as a two-spirit person. It's just that we exist, we could be private.
Yeah.
We don't have to be out there and put our whole lives out there.
Yeah. We get in financial commitments with our partners. Yeah. We're just like you guys.
Yeah. And I think for me, a big thing too is just like, straight people don't have to make this big announcement that they're straight or all this kind of stuff. Like when a straight couple gets engaged, what do? They make a post and
they're just allowed to celebrate each other.
Right. And then for me, that was just the way I wanted to live. I just wanted to just exist and celebrate me
and your partner
my partner. Yeah. I didn't want to make it a spectacle because I just wanted to just live freely. And I think that's the whole point. Just for Two-Spirit, I think that's like the goal here. The end goal here is just where we could just be ourselves and just exist, where we're not having to be fighting for these rights or fighting to be acknowledged or fighting to.
I totally understand that too. It's just, not only you're just a Two-Spirit person, you're an Indigenous man.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like double whammy, right? Of like of trying to navigate this world. So
yeah,
and I get that. Sometimes I just don't want to be the only Indigenous kid in the room. Sometimes I just want to be another student in the room. I just don't want to have this monkey on my back of having to be like the educator almost.
Yeah, or going into a workplace and then you're the one that's being asked to give a land acknowledgement.
Yeah. Well, no, exactly. And that's probably what happens to you. You're probably the one where people come to with their questions about gender.
Yeah, like what you're doing.
This is for the betterment of society.
I'm kidding. It's a podcast.
That's so funny. When I'm just telling everyone about like gender shouldn't be a big deal, but yet we're like have a whole episode on it. But it's a conversation that a lot of people don't talk about.
No, it isn't. And I mean, like you said, this is my story. I think that's what I want to elaborate on is this is my story. It's not going to be for everybody. It's not going to be for those people that are out there at the forefront carrying the Two-Spirit community on their shoulders and fighting that good fight. For me, this is my story. I'm just a Two-Spirit man existing in this world.
I think as Indigenous people, we can all like look to our culture to help us heal and support our healing journeys.
I want to talk about my dad, and I kind of want to relate it to culture just because he's a traditional man and a traditional healer. And it was just because when I came out to him, he was so accepting and so loving. And what he told me was just that you're my son and I will always love you. It doesn't matter who you are or what you're doing in your life or who you choose to be with. I will always love you for who you are. And to me, hearing that, especially coming from a traditional man, that was everything to me.
Yeah.
That meant so much to me because what being Two-Spirit is, when I was younger, I tied it to like a negative thing. Right?
Like I remember my mom telling us, like we were taught not to hate.
Yeah, and I think that was a big teaching that my dad would always talk about too, is treat everybody the way that you want to be treated. And I think his biggest thing too is like you don't have to die to live a happy life, to be a good person.
Yeah, actually tell me some things that he's taught you growing up, because we do have similar teachings because our parents are siblings, but what was his cliches he was throwing at you?
It was always to just be a good person. It was always to treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yeah.
It was to help.
Yeah.
Always to give back, help. And I don't know, it was just a lot of teachings about taking care of yourself. I don't remember the actual words,
Yeah.
it's just, I just remember these conversations happening and me taking what was being said and using that in my life, right? So
I think you also do share a lot of your dad's humor.
he's very quick with it, and for me, I just put a little twist on it.
Yeah.
So I add some spice to that.
Yeah, no, he's so funny. He's always been funny, but no, like to hear that story about your dad and being accepted from him, and it didn't have to be a fight with him, and that's a lot of people don't get that grace from their dad.
Yeah. No, and I think I want to go back to that question about my coming out story too. Like, I think, well, this is very important to me, was that I was about 14. I think I was 14 at the time. Yes, I was 14 at the time. And I had this crush on this guy, and I don't know, I was just trying to be 14, trying to be in love,
Yeah.
whatever. Just, it was kind of stupid. But anyways, had this big crush on somebody, and this person didn't like me back. And so I felt really heartbroken. I don't know, I was just trying to be dramatic.
Mhm.
Anyways, I remember calling my mom one day, and I was really sad about it. And she was asking me, like, what's going on? What's wrong? And I was just like, oh, like, Mom, I have something to tell you, and I'm so scared. Like, I just didn't know how to do it. I kept like stalling, or I kept deflecting, I kept trying to run away from it, but she kept asking, like, what's going on? What's wrong? Just tell me.
Yeah.
And then finally I just said, like, Mom, I think I'm gay. And and I don't mean to put, like, I don't want people to come for my mom, because she's an amazing woman.
She is.
But back then at 14, she didn't want to accept that, and she wasn't accepting of that. She took that, and she was telling me, like, how wrong it is, and it's not okay to be gay, and she just kind of went off.
See, I would have never known that from your mom.
Really?
Because you guys have such an amazing relationship today.
Yeah. No, she went off, and to be honest, that took me by surprise, like, as nervous and like how scared I was to tell my mom and to talk about my mom about this, about coming out to her. I thought she was going to be the person that was going to be so accepting and loving and welcoming me with open arms, and just, having that support from her. But that's the thing, I didn't get that. And when I didn't get that, holy shit, like, my heart sunk. Like, I just felt, it made me feel really worse, I guess. But after she was, saying all this stuff about, like, it's not right, it's not who we are, I don't know, all that stuff, she told me, you need to call your dad and you got to tell him. And then I was like, right now?
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, right now. I was like, holy fuck. Like, I was like panicking at that point, and I was like, okay. So I call my dad, and I'm like on the verge of tears here, and I was just like telling him, like, hey Dad, like, this is who I gotta tell you something, and I'm very scared, like, I'm nervous. And he's like, oh, no, like, what's going on, son? Like, what's going on? And I came up to him. I told him that I think I'm gay. And then that's when he gave me a really good message, and it was, I will always love you no matter who you are, who you choose to be, or who you choose to love. And he showed me that support, and he showed me that love, and he showed me that acceptance. And to me, like, hearing that from my dad, I was so taken back. I was like, I didn't think I was going to get that from my dad. To be honest, I thought I was going to get that from my mom.
Yeah.
Right? So when he said all that, like, it was like a spark ignited again in me, and again, I was happy, and I was like feeling good about myself. And then so I called my mom, and my mom was like, you could just tell she was like, well, what did he say? Like, like expecting me to be like, oh, he said it was wrong, and he said it's like, I shouldn't be this way, whatever. But when I told her that this is what he said, and that that he accepts me, and that he loves me, and that he'll support me, and he'll be there for me, she went quiet. And then I think I don't really remember, I was 14, but I think I was kind of upset with her. So I was like, well, I'm going to go. And so I think I could have hung up the phone there. But a couple days later, she calls me back, and she's pretty much crying at this. Like, she's pretty much crying, and she starts apologizing and telling me that she was wrong for saying all those things, and that that's not true, and that's not right, that what she did, and that she needs to be like my dad and accept me for who I am, and love me and support me. And so I got that apology from her, and to me, like, that was everything too, right? Because I also think about other Two-Spirit kids who came out to their families, and they didn't get that, you know. They only got that, my mom's side, you know, where it was negative, where it was, you know, people are getting abandoned for coming out.
Yeah.
And for me, having my mom come around and telling me that, like, it's going to take a while for her to fully understand or accept this, but that she loves me, and she wants to support me. But I don't know. I think about those kids that didn't get that, right? I think that's just me always putting myself in other people's shoes. And
Well, and I just think this is where culture saved you almost. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because Uncle is a traditional man, and he was given those teachings.
yeah,
And he was able, he probably really didn't, like, just putting, that must be really crazy, especially in that time, to hear that something like that from a child, like a coming out.
yeah,
And, you know, he probably just relied on his teachings in that moment. I hope that's what had happened, but I think that really, like, made your story almost a happy one.
yeah. No, and it did. And it also, like, it also just encouraged me to just want to continue to be myself, because I had the support from my dad. I had the support from my mom. I mean, it was tough for her. And not saying that it wasn't tough for my dad. I know it was tough for my dad to accept that too.
I think that is such a good story, and I never knew that. I honestly thought your mom was so cool with it. That's just from, like, your guys' relationship, so it's cool. And a lot of people don't get, you know, a parent that is willing to acknowledge that they were wrong in a moment, and especially so quick.
Yeah, yeah. No, and that's the thing I love about my mom, is, like, today, like, she is so cool with it. She is so amazing.
And you sometimes your biggest supporter, right?
Oh, she is.
Biggest protector.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and, like, and I think that, like, got me and my mom more close, because I was able to channel that feminine side, and I was able to relate to her with a lot of feminine stuff when it came to clothes, or I don't know, just, like, anything.
Yeah.
Like, so for me, it did make me and my mom closer.
That's just a really good story. I know your mom is one of your biggest protectors till this day. I think she will, as long as she's on this earth, I think you'll always have someone to protect you.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I've seen her do that. Like,
Oh, yeah, and a lot of times she did have to fight my battles. So.
yeah.
And to this day, she tries to still.
Yeah.
Okay, Mom, we gotta settle down.
I know. But it just shows, like, people can learn and change and evolve, and just because they don't understand it, like, if they're willing to, like, do that work and learn, like, they can be your biggest protector and biggest ally. So
Yeah.
I think for anyone who's non-Two-Spirit and is straight, and they come from a space of where they don't understand it, you don't have to understand it, but just don't cause harm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And be careful what you say. You
Yeah.
know, like my mom, like, yeah, that was really hurtful what she said, but for her to come around and apologize for that, and learn, and want to learn, to accept for who I am, and want to learn more about the Two-Spirit community, and yeah.
And she's lucky. Sometimes people don't get the opportunity to come back and, you know, take back what they said.
No.
You know, a lot of people don't get that chance, you know, and you could have did something. Someone could have did something in passing where they really offended and hurt someone, and they'll never get that opportunity to go back and be like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So be careful with your word.
No, exactly.
And if you don't know how to navigate something, fall back on your teachings, fall back on your values of what you're taught. You know, I think a lot of us, we share this like idea of kindness, respect, love, harmony.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what to say, look to those, because those will guide you into a real way of dealing with whatever it is, if it's something you don't understand, especially. Thank you for sharing. That's just such a beautiful story, and I never knew that about you. Do you feel like our communities are starting to understand Two-Spirit people better, or is there still a long way to go?
I think both. I think our community has done a lot, or has come a long way with the acceptance or just like the representation of the Two-Spirit community. We have pride flags, we have gender neutral bathrooms, we have a person in leadership who is Two-Spirit. But also I think we still have a long ways to go, because I think a big part of me, like this is just like my experience, is that I don't always feel represented. I don't feel like I could be myself all the time in the community. So I don't know. I think if we had more representation, I think that it would make it a more safe space to want to be in. But no, I think both. We've come a long way, but I think there's a long ways to go.
Yeah, there's still boundaries that need to be pushed, and more people to have representation on them, you know? And
then I think like Two-Spirit people like me, just like, you know, just kind of going into the community and living and just existing as a Two-Spirit person, me playing sports, me just being in the community. I think that's breaking those barriers. It's breaking those boundaries, right? It's showing people that we do exist. We are here. I am going to play sports. I'm going to be on the sports team.
But no, exactly. Like you're showing these kids, or you're just showing people that these aren't just spaces for the straight men.
Yeah. And I think that's one thing that I never really realized too, that me being on a sports team, me showing up to the games, it is showing representation. It is showing that we're here and that we can exist in these spaces that exist on a sports team. You know, I have a lot of people when I go play baseball or when we have home games on the community, I have a lot of young kids come up to me and being like, I never knew you played sports.
Yeah.
And you could tell that they're I could tell where they're coming from.
Yeah.
But you could also tell that they're trying not to be offensive or not trying to say something like, oh yeah, you're gay, and you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You're gay and you play sports.
Yeah.
Or, you know, and the younger kids too, like they're so cognitive of that, like, which I'm really proud of. Like I hear my nieces and nephews too, like, you know, sometimes it will be like sitting around and being like, that's gay. And they'll be like that Hillary Duff commercial. You really shouldn't say that.
Yeah.
and I'm like, yeah, no, you're right. And it's a little bit of an ego thing when your little nephew's telling you shouldn't say something. But, you know, they really, this generation that's coming up are becoming more sensitive to this. And I think, too, a lot of people complain about that because they're like, oh, we're in a generation where you have to be careful what you say. But, you know, just going back to our conversations with you and people making those comments, they did do a lot of harm.
Oh, they did. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm glad we live in a society where people are more conscious of how they word things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And also, too, like, I kind of get, like, when there are kind of comments of, like, oh, I didn't know you play sports, or I didn't know you play baseball. And my mind always kind of goes to, like, well, what are you trying to say? You know?
Yeah.
Like, you know, what are you trying to imply there? But that's just me, because I had to grow up in like that, where everything was questioned about me, where I wasn't allowed to be in these spaces, or I wasn't allowed to do things without, I don't know, like a label on it.
Yeah. Like everything was always surrounded around if you're gay or not. And I think, so it explains why your brain automatically goes there, and it's a way it's trying to protect you. But
But you know what? I am very proud of what I'm doing. You know, it does make me happy to know that, like, it makes me happy when kids ask those questions. That it makes me happy to say, yes, I do this. Yes, I do that. Because it's just proving that Two-Spirit people do exist, and we are going to exist in many forms. You know, we're going to do a lot of different things. And for me, like being on this podcast, talking with you, having to answer these questions, I'm doing a lot of like, what is it? Not self-reflecting, but like an awakening, like where I'm starting to realize that what I'm doing is really good. It's really inspiring.
It's such a good message. And what I love about you is like your stories, they really do tell why you are the way you are. And I'm getting to know you more on a personal level. And I thought I knew you, and I guess I really didn't. But seriously, who sits down and asks these type of questions to each other, right? These are deep. And I think that's so important, especially like at a time of pride where we want to hear these stories and we want to hear a Two-Spirit person's perspective. And, you know, thank you for letting me share your voice on this platform. Anyone that watches this is going to learn so much, and I'm so happy because this is what I created this space for, is for learning and education.
Yeah.